Okay, guys. Yeah, so the biometrics are going to pick up that this is the real Shawn Dexter John. The lookalikes will not be able to get around this, but yeah. Earlier I posted a video recording in 2 segments on YouTube, and this particular video recording will be of the same sort of topic or subject, but a bit more peculiar and focused on one issue, one niche issue, and that has to do with Mormonism. That has to do with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So yes, this is Shawn Dexter John, and today is still, obviously, it's still September the 28th, 2024. It's September the 28th, 2024. So yeah, the Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, will be protected by the Central Intelligence Agency and INTERPOL, in all honesty, toward becoming, this is what I wanted you guys to understand, toward becoming the lead religious denomination in the Americas, throughout the Americas. All right, so once again, it's going to become the most multi-racialized, multiculturalized, and multi-ethnic in focus religious denomination in the Americas. And this is going to occur, the development, the evolution of the church, the Mormon church into this will occur over the next, 5 decades. In 30 years, by 30 years' time, it will be evident that the Mormon Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, will evolve into becoming the lead religious community in the United States and the rest of the Americas. Okay? It's no longer going to be a predominantly white church whatsoever. And we are not going to say that Italian Americans and Scottish Americans or Irish Americans are different races. We are not going to play those politics whatsoever. Those days are behind us. So yeah, this is a project, this is a directive of the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States, the CIA, and INTERPOL, the International Criminal Police, or colloquially, the International Police, as a partnership, providing this communication to you guys. And, to you guys, but I am literally, I'm the one providing this particular message per the partnership's request, since I am its chief manager. So this is not just subjective. This is what was requested by the partnership and by the church, even though I dictated what the church and the partnership, deduced and accepted. I am Jesus Christ, reincarnated, in all honesty. I am Jesus Christ reincarnated. Okay? I am Brahma. I am Buddha. I am Yahweh. I am Confucius. I am Allah, Eloi, Allah. I authored each and every one of the Holy Scriptures. I authored, as I said earlier, I'm pretty sure that I've stated this earlier, and even consistently over the past year or two, within video recordings that I've posted on YouTube, that I am the author of the Bible, and that that denotes the Old Testament, the Torah, and the New Testament. I literally authored the Bible. I authored the Holy Scriptures of Hinduism, the Holy Scriptures of Buddhism, the Torah itself, the Book of Mormon, and Confucius principles, Confucius legal and political tenets, in accordance with spiritual and divine precepts. So I've written the Holy Scriptures of this world and its extent. Okay, so yes, this is part of the honesty that I've provided to you guys, and this is the classified information. It was requested by the Central Intelligence Agency and INTERPOL, alongside a few other agencies per the request of civil society and so forth, and not to assess whether or not if I'm a sick person or some sort of weirdo from somewhere else, but to provide why we are approaching a World War III, which is being considered Armageddon to the majority of the planet. So yeah, so let me explain this to you guys. I am 1,500,000 years old. My soul is 1,500,000 years old. I am dreaming from heaven into this world, and in this particular life, I acquired, ever since gestation within my earthly mother's tummy, a human form. And in this life, I'm African American of Caribbean birth. In a previous life, I was also African American, and I was secretly of Caribbean birth as W.E.B. Du Bois, who was born Thomas John Johnson. And preceding that, I was Abraham Lincoln, who was born Abraham London in Ontario, Canada, literally in London, Ontario, Canada. And preceding that, I was born Alexander Hamilton, aka Thomas Jefferson. And preceding that, I was born Mozart, aka Agent Beethoven. I usually have two identities, or one identity and an alias, and I usually, worked throughout my life tenures in two halves, each life tenure. All right, so yes, I started out as Alexander Hamilton, and by the time I was 39, 40, I acquired my corporate identity, Thomas Jefferson, and my original identity, Alexander Hamilton, became my secondary identity, or my alias, and that's how I got to play Secretary of State and Secretary of the Treasury at the same time. That's how I wrote the Declaration of Independence and the Federalist Papers at the same time, for the most part. That's how I wrote the Constitution of the United States without declaring that I wrote it, out of mercy orders and so forth. I work very hard. I have several aliases, usually, in doing my work and remaining covert. And I've done this for almost 10,000 years now. I'm consistently here on the planet. And Freemasonry hides that. Freemasonry also hides the good news that I do make sure that all of humanity gets into heaven. I make sure that all of humanity pays up its moral debt collectively and separately and individually. Okay, so that's what I make sure of also. But yes, the Book of Mormon provides the reality, the fact that I did create the universe. I did create Earth in 7 days. It took me 6 days to create the topography and the orbit and the system of Earth. And on the seventh day, I made it perfect after editing and refining what I had created. And it felt like resting on that seventh day. Okay, and I did request that the world spin, rotate. Okay, this is not messages sent from a high universe via a vessel, that which can be adopted by anyone and articulated by anyone who decides to call himself Jesus Christ reincarnated. No, This is honestly me. I am honestly God. I am honestly Jesus Christ. This is just another reincarnation. And this is literally the capstone of the second coming of Jesus Christ. This is the capstone of the second coming of Jesus Christ, and we are approaching the capstone of Armageddon. Okay? But I created this universe out of material matter from the content of what used to be a galaxy. This universe used to be a galaxy of my father's universe. And my father's universe, along with this universe, all came from Nirvana. All right? But all life that emerged in these universes, these offspring universes, came after the fact of universe itself, new universe, new and independent universe itself. So my father and myself, we are from Nirvana. We are citizens of Nirvana. I am the only citizen and resident of Nirvana over and within this universe. Okay? And Nirvana is the original universe of this existence zone. So when it was time for me to create an independent, nominal, and sovereign universe out of the galaxy colony, or the colony galaxy, which was given to me 1,500,000 years ago. When it was time to do so, create a universe out of the galaxy, I took material. I was allowed to take material from Nirvana, the original universe, and the biggest universe, the ever-expanding universe, and I created an independent, nominal, and sovereign universe out of the respective galaxy. And there was only one galaxy which split apart from my father's universe. You know, there was the universe, and there was a colony galaxy within that universe, mine. So I am from my father's universe, though I was from a peculiar galaxy within it. All right, just like you guys see of South Africa and Lesotho within, it's very similar. Even though Lesotho is independent, sort of independent and sovereign officially, it is very similar. You know, when we speak of geography or geographics, it's very similar. All right. So when I created this universe, I had it split from my father's universe, and I imported material matter from Nirvana, and I created a functional, orderly, official, on par, nominal, independent, and sovereign universe. And I made Earth as a special estate of mine within that universe. So everything else was done by algorithms per my request, per my design, per my doing. But Earth, literally, I took my time like an artist. And I sacrificed Mars, which was already there by automation, a planet which had water and primitive life form, microorganisms for the most part. I sacrificed that planet in using theory, logic, and perception of balance to make sure that Earth has paid up enough to be able to survive, getting the universe into heaven as the central point of my activism. Okay, so yeah, it took a lot of hard work to get that done, and it took a lot of sacrifice. It took a lot of sacrifice, in all honesty. So when the Bible does provide that you know, Earth was created thousands of years ago, when it infers that's not a lie. Earth itself was created 10,000 years ago. All right. So even though the matter and material of this universe is billions of years old because it came from Nirvana, this universe itself is relatively young. But the material taken from Nirvana to create the extent or the expanse of this universe, the growth of this universe into nominality, is billions of years old. Okay, the original universe, Nirvana, is billions of years old. And this universe, specifically one of its offspring universes, is a whole lot younger, but it's protected as within its grand scheme. So I'm protected by my father, and my father is protected by his father and the yet higher universe, and his father is protected by his father and the yet higher universe, and so forth. So it's compounded protection within an existent zones of universes stemming from Nirvana. So yes. So yes, the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, will be protected by INTERPOL and the Central Intelligence Agency as the most charitable and progressive religious denominations of the most ancient or the most fundamental religions and their denominations on this planet. Okay, so even though the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will be able to dominate the Americas when it comes to social activism, and when it comes to membership, and when it comes to messaging, even though the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon Church, will be able to dominate Australia and the rest of the South Pacific as a special project within that scheme, even though Buddhism will be respected as the predominant religion in China, which will remain the economic superpower in the Asia Pacific, aside Confucius' principles in helping dictate the political, spiritual, social, and ethical competencies of the Chinese people. This particular directive is going to work. This particular directive is going to help, will allow, by only reasonable means, the Roman Catholic Church to remain lead amongst the more ancient religious communities, aside the secondary religious communities like Sikhism and Shintoism and animist communities, tribal and spiritual communities. Okay, so yeah, I'm speaking to you guys in this way, in highly technical form, to explain to you guys that even though the Book of Mormon appears to be highly technical and almost schizophrenic-like, but highly technical, it provides literate information and communication efforts. What it communicates is essentially that Jesus Christ is Jehovah the Father and Jehovah the Son simultaneously, since Menelik, the son of mine, me being Jesus Christ, since Menelik, who is Jah Rastafari, Haile Selassie, is secretly Jesus Christ Jr. Okay, so once again, this is what it does not talk about Rastafarianism, obviously, but eventually, Menelik, Jah Rastafari, will reincarnate or has reincarnated for the purpose of writing the holy scriptures of Rastafarianism, to be able to supplement and expound on this reality. And it's not a theory, it's a theory to people who don't want to accept it as a fact, but it's secretly a fact denoted by Freemasonic and Central Intelligence Agency, files and documents and databases and stuff of that nature. So once again, the Book of Mormon communicates that souls, from generation to generation, traverse the whole planet. The original tribes of Judah, they have reincarnated all over the planet, just as every other ethnicity, just as every other religious community, just as every other race, just as every other geographic community here on the planet. From life to life, people rebirth, reincarnate elsewhere on the planet. Okay, and not of the same, racial type, then people don't remain white, throughout the whole journey of humanity. People don't remain Jewish throughout, ethnically Jewish throughout the whole journey of reincarnations and so forth. I want you guys to accept that also. That's a beautiful reality. But anyway, this needs to be understood. Rastafarians were approached by angels from heaven, from Nirvana, who explained to them, per my request, that Menelik, Jah Rastafari, is one of my sons in heaven, but he is my only begotten son, being the only holy son that I do have in heaven, and being one, as he is 1,400,000 years old, and being 100,000 years younger than me. So even though he's close to being my twin, he has been taken up by me as my holy son. He rebirthed in heaven as my biological son, amongst many biological sons in heaven. And consistently here on earth, he has been my biological son. And when it comes to his galaxy, being a colony galaxy of this universe, he is also my son in that particular sense, but he's made holy based on his soul's age and the hell that he has gone through over the past 1,400,000 years to evolve into the level of being that he is at this particular point, just as I went through. That's what holy means. It means perfective. It means close to being whole when it comes to being moral, ethical, understanding, when it comes to being protected by nature, as nature does recognize the soul, and by systematic and algorithm realities, mechanics. All right. So Jah Rastafari is the holy son of Jesus Christ, and that will be revealed later on in decades by the Rastafarian Church and the Mormon Church itself, and the Roman Catholic Church. And this is not, you guys are making me laugh, and saying, well, that's supposed to be top secret just for black people. No, it's not supposed to be top secret just for black people. It's not supposed to be top secret just for Asian people that the current Dalai Lama was one of the 12 disciples. It's not supposed to be just an African American secret that Martin Luther King was one of the 12 disciples. It's not supposed to be top secret just to the Indian people that Mahatma Gandhi was one of the 12 disciples. And he introduced the reality of God, the singular God, Jesus Christ, to the Hindu population, first socially, and eventually is going to be adopted by supplements to holy scriptures of Hinduism. Okay, so yes, so in 500 years, Menelik will make independent his galaxy. He's gonna receive allowance. He's gonna receive a key to import material, matter from Nirvana, to create an independent, sovereign, orderly, and nominal universe out of his colony galaxy, his galaxy colony within this universe. I will allow him to separate his colony galaxy into an independent universe in 500 years when he helps me get all of humanity, Earth and its constellation, into heaven simultaneous to that particular act, as I did with my father, as my father did with his father. So the good news is that all get into heaven at Kingdom Come after paying up their moral debt, collectively, separately, and individually. And that is scheduled for 500 years from now, 5 centuries from now. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out what else I was supposed to provide to you guys. What I provided earlier does allude to some of this, but I just needed to expound on this a bit more. So yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will not have to be overbearing in providing this information to people as needed. They will focus on charity. They will focus on goodwill. They will focus on the golden principle, do unto others as you would have done unto you. They will focus on on race relations, mending differences. It will focus on humanism, which takes faith as fundamental to civilization and the makeup of humanity, and so forth. And the church, the Mormon church, will be very articulative and will be very polished in messaging in providing that communication effort. So the church is going to be highly multiracialized. The church is going to be highly multinationalized, and it's going to be highly multiculturalized, and it's going to lead the Americas into the next paradigm. And there will be conservative factions left within the Church of Jesus Christ listen again. There will be there will be religious factions considered conservative within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Okay? But for the most part, it's going to be progressive. And I do want you guys to understand this. There is no such religion called Mohammedans. There's no branching off. And I am Muhammad Senior. As King Solomon, my name was Muhammad Solomon Senior, or Suleiman Muhammad Senior. And my tribal Arab son, Muhammad Junior, was given by me the original Korah, what you guys consider the Quran today, to preach, not even necessarily to preach, but to communicate to the tribes and villages and towns and cities back in Arabia, back then. I am the Muhammad, even though I'm not the Prophet Muhammad, culturally popular in Islam. I am the Muhammad who walked into heaven. The Prophet Muhammad did not walk into heaven. The Prophet of Jehovah the Father, God over this universe, Jesus Christ, meaning myself, Shawn Dexter John, was the one who walked into heaven, but in being interpersonal, in being very humble to the cause of generations, in being very, very careful, in not being overbearing, I did allow for that confusion. Okay? The Prophet Muhammad, the tribal son, one of the 12 disciples of Jesus Christ, did not walk into heaven. I walked into heaven. Muhammad Solomon Senior, Solomon Muhammad Senior. I walked into heaven. I was King David. I got my corporate identity as King Solomon, King Muhammad Suleiman in Arabic, and I walked into heaven in my 90s, and so forth. That's the secret in sectors of the Freemasonic community. Okay, they have been briefed on that. They've seen scriptures from the universe providing this as accurate and scientific, and facts, or factual, based on all assessment criterias. So yes, and I want you guys to also understand this. I am Confucius, reincarnated. I was Confucius, and I was born in Japan in that lifetime. And as you can see in some of the portraits, which do not reflect exactly what I looked like, obviously, but you can see that that's clearly a Japanese man, based on ethnic, and phenotypic, features which are typical to Japanese. And most of the portraits I've revealed that I was Japanese, born as Confucius. I was born on one of the islands right off the coast of the mainland of Japan. And I was an immigrant. Hold on. Yeah, so I'm going to have to explain this to you guys again. As Confucius, I was born in Japan. I was born on one of the Japanese islands, and I was an immigrant to China. And I did travel back to Japan. I did bring over some of the legal and political and spiritual, principles noted of what was preceding Jintoism, and I communicated it as some sort of philosophy, some sort of spiritual and political philosophy to the Chinese civilization, to the Chinese people, which did not detract from Buddhism, which did not detract from Buddhism, but which allowed for some sort of political focus, which complemented the heavily spiritual and abstract language of the Holy Scriptures of Buddhism. So you guys asked for help. I am providing you guys help. Once again, as Confucius, I was born in Japan, and I was an immigrant in China, and I did cover it up in some of the portraits that we do provide online, I'm not lying at all, as we have provided on the internet and within libraries and within catalogs and so forth. The most famous portraits of Confucius clearly depict me as Japanese-like or Japanese in my phenotype, and that was done on purpose. And I did articulate a lot of the ancient political and spiritual principles of the Japanese people in creating the philosophy of Confucius. All right, and it complemented what was known back then and what was made accustomed by the Buddhist, priesthoods back then, and by the Holy Scriptures of Buddhism. Buddhism is very spiritual. It's very abstract, because it talks of physics, it talks of nirvana as a philosophy. In hiding, nirvana is literally the highest universe, the oldest universe in the existence zone. So, I wrote, in all honesty, I wrote the Holy Scriptures of Buddha as Buddha. One life succeeded my life as Jesus Christ and Julius Caesar. In free Masonic files, you will be able to see that's the truth. After I did leave for heaven and I came back as Julius Caesar, aka Titus Caesar, at the end of that particular life tenure, I walked into heaven and I was rebirthed when the time was right, the succeeding life in South Asia. Okay, and I was a prince, and I went on my right. I went on a journey, and I provided genius, information to the world. And called it, the principles and theories and conduct of Buddha, essentially. All right, the Holy Scriptures of Buddha, the Holy Scriptures of Buddhism. It talks of nirvana, it talks of spiritualism, it talks of physics. So what I did as Isaac Newton in using mathematics and empirical values to explain physics, not just calculus, but to explain physics, I did allude to and I did cover via Buddhism, so that you guys would know in advance that science and religion, they work hand in hand, and they are part of the larger message and the larger story of the journey of the universe, and not just the human journey, but the journey of the universe. Physical reality, metaphysic realities, and what is interdimensional, and what is just intradimensional. And it's not nonsense. It's all based on reality. So Buddhism is highly spiritual, highly religious, and physics, as introduced by me as Isaac Newton, was highly mathematical and highly empirical. But when it comes to numerics and when it comes to when it came to equations and things of that nature, they're both telling the same sort of story, that reality is fixed, and where it's bendable, it only ought to be bendable toward the proper ends, and there must be a divine supreme being that allows for that, based on the orderliness of the universe and based on what appears to be the communication of humanity to each other, within communities and across communities and so forth. It corresponds. If you don't study it, it only corresponds likely. If you study it, if you study the partnership, if you study the correlation, it correlates or corresponds significantly, per your perception. But anyway, hold on. And yeah, so the Shriners are the what used to be the Arabic variant of Freemasonry. So what the Shriners are gonna provide to you guys, if you guys were to investigate the Shriners and actually get within classified files and stuff of that nature that protected by the United States governments and governments all across the world, you would find that the Shriners do provide that Jesus Christ is the reincarnated King David and King Solomon, that King David faked his death and came back as King Solomon with that particular corporate identity and was known as Muhammad Solomon Sr. or Solomon Muhammad Sr. Suleiman. Okay? That's what you find out. Okay, so and Freemasonry goes back all the way to ancient Egypt. Freemasonry is essentially top secret Judaistic or Semitic, celestial information that received from the heavens. That's how Freemasonry began, and we covered it up with the pyramids. We built the pyramids, and as Pharaoh for thousands of years, life after life, I was secretly always of Jewish descent. The royal family in Egypt was always significantly, but partially of Jewish descent. All right, and we kept the secrets within the royal compounds, and the Jewish people kept the connections and the original customs and beliefs. All right, so that's where Freemasonry came from. When it has to do with the Masonic. The name itself has to do with the scientific principles provided by the Celestials, provided by the heavens, toward creating the pyramids that predominantly worked on by the Jewish people. So once again, Freemasonry has root in ancient Egypt and the Jewish communities in ancient Egypt. They were contracted to serve as engineers, to serve as carpenters, to serve as stonemasons, and to serve as architects and so forth, the Jewish people, in building the pyramids. And scientific information from the heavens were provided to them and the royal family, Pharaoh and the royal family, towards those ends, building a highly civilized community, kingdom, empire in the middle of the desert, a miracle in itself. Well, the miracle itself being what stands out the most. Okay, so that's where Freemasonry came from. That's not a coincidence. That's not coincidental at all. That cannot possibly be coincidental. Okay, so so that's part of everything. Okay, guys, and we did introduce a lot of these secrets to the ancient Greek societies. Once again, we did transfer a lot of that this particular information, this particular knowledge to early Greek societies. We communicated with Greece. From Egypt, we communicated with China. From Egypt, we had oracles and communication devices all the way back then, which communicated with the civilization of China, with the civilizations of Athens and the what we considered back then the Aegean kingdom and then empire, the Greek Empire. We communicated with early Rome, the Roman Republic. We communicated with the, later on, parts of Europe, did communicate with the Americas, Mesoamerica, and so forth. We have remained secretly in communication with the entirety of the planet, and Egypt was the center of operation for thousands of years. We have communicated consistently with India, the kingdoms and tribes of India, from the get-go. Okay? So that's not a coincidence either. The pyramid structures that you guys do see all over the world, the variants of it, those were communication efforts that we did have with the Americas, that we did have with China, and so on. All right? And yes, Nubia was a colony of Egypt. It was a semi-independent colony of Egypt. It was essentially an associate state of Egypt. It was independent and sovereign, but was technically an independent territory based on the conduct and procedures and partnership between the Egyptian government back then and the Nubian government back then. And yes, I was the first emperor of Nubia, and I did create a confederation of Egypt and Nubia for 100 years. All right, so there was a confederation of Egypt and Nubia as one nation state, one empire back then. And I was the first emperor of Mexico, or was considered the confederation of Aztec and Maya. I was called the Jaguar Paw. I was called the Jaguar King. The movie by Mel Gibson, which purported me as looking very similar to Ronaldinho. That was about me. I was called Jaguar Paw, or Paw Jaguar, essentially in Mayan. I was born in the South. I was the king of the South. I was a prince of the South, and when I became the king of the South, and having helped defeat the Aztecs, I created a confederation which became known as the Empire of Mexico. And with time, over the next few decades, it will be revealed by archaeology, and it will be revealed by the government of Mexico that Aztec and Mayan communities created an empire, and that and that Quetzalcoatl was Jaguar Paw, or Jaguar Paw, the first emperor of that empire. And yes, I did find the communication devices provided to the Maya, and I did find a way to communicate to other parts of the world. And essentially back then it was Venice, and Venetian explorers found a way to get to before and